Hi everyone, thank you so much for checking my channel. Today I'll be showing you how to make this lovely top, and here are the items you'll be needing. Uh, So let's get started. The first thing I will be showing you is that I folded this fabric into four, and that's because I'll be cutting the front and the back piece together. The next thing is that I came down by 1 inch from that rough edge downward, and I joined together. This line I just drew becomes my starting point. So I'll be placing the next is to place the shoulder measurement of the client. In this case, our shoulder is 17. Half of 17 is 8.5. And then I added 1 inch seam allowance to it. From that half-inch seam allowance, I'll come down by 1 inch. That is for shoulder slant. Some people call it shoulder slope. From that 1 inch shoulder slant, I'll come down by 9.5. That 9.5, this line is called the armhole depth. How to know what to use: divide your bust by 6 and add 1.5 to it. I want to ensure what I have at the shoulder is also what I have here. While you are going to use whatever depth you get when you divide your bust by 6 and add 1.5, the width must be the same as what you have at the shoulder. The next I'm going to do is to determine the width of the neck. I use 4 inches. I will connect it to that 1 inch shoulder slant. I decided to use 5 inches as the depth of the neckline. I mark it on the other end. I want to be sure the width is also the same as what I have at the upper part. So I'm just going to connect together to form like a square. The next thing I will do is to give it allowance. So I came upward from that neckline by half, and from that shoulder slope I went upward by half, and then I joined together, and I will extend the neckline. I'll place my ruler to make a curve. If I don't give it that half-inch from the neckline to the shoulder slope, I'm going to have to take that half inch from the neck depth, and it's going to make it shorter. I don't know if you understand. The next thing I will do is to determine a chest line. So a bust divided by 4 gives me 12. I'm going to indicate that 12 plus 1 inch gives me 13. Do well to indicate the two dots. Your bust divided by 4, indicate it, and then indicate the same allowance. The next thing I will do is to look for the midpoint of the armhole depth, that 9.5. The midpoint of, please fold your tape as like this. This is the midpoint. I'm going to come in by half an inch. Please note this half an inch does not apply to all bust size. I'm going to put in the description box how to do that. First, connect from the midpoint to that 1 inch shoulder slope. Don't extend it to the seam allowance. Simply extend that straight line to the seam allowance, but when you want to make that curve, stop at the 1 inch. Then from that midpoint, connect to that 12 inches. When you divide your bust by 4, you know I told you to indicate whatever you get. So that curve stops at whatever you get when you divide your bust by 4, not at the same allowance, not at the 13. It stops at the 12. Bust divided by 4 is 12. That's where the curve stops. The next thing I'm going to do is to indicate the length of the top. The length is 29.5, but I will add half-inch seam allowance to it. That gives me 30. I'm using just half-inch because I'm not going to fold it. I'm just going to weave the edge. You know that tight weaving. That's what I'm going to use. I'm just going to indicate it and join it with my ruler. So what I have at the bust is 13. I will add 6 inches to it. That gives me 19. I'll mark 19 and join it all the way to the chest line. You know, I divided the bust by 4 and added 1 inch seam allowance to it. That gave me 13. So I add 6 inches to 13. That's what I marked at the hem of the top, and I join together. So I am coming upward by 9 inches. This 9 inches is also not applicable to everyone. Measure yourself and where um indicate where you would want and indicate how jumpy you would want the side to be. The guideline is to just indicate wherever your tummy will not show. And if you want it to show, you can indicate, just be sure. So in this case, I took away 9 inches. I'm trying to pin around and I'll make my cutting. I hope you understand what I did at the armhole area. You can watch repeatedly. It's easy. So at this point, I remember, I am cutting the front and back piece together, and the armholes are usually not the same. The front armhole is usually deeper than the back armhole. So I'm going to place my ruler from the midpoint. I'm going to connect to the actual bust measurement, that 12 inches. You can see that we still have 1 inch left. So I connected it to the 12 inches. I'm going to cut this way. Yours may not be 12. When you divide your bust by 4, mark it, then indicate the seam allowance. The neckline, I'm trying to contemplate whether to make the front and back neckline together the same. I'm just going to make it the same. But you can make yours, it must be 4 inches wide, but the depth can vary. You know our depth is 5. You can make it the back 3, anything of your choice. Just ensure your head can pass through because this top does not have zip. I'm going to remove that piece that is inside and make that one my back piece. And then I'm going to, since this one has the choking already, I'm going to make it the front and I will cut that armhole. I'm going to trim this one out for the front. If you decide to make the front neckline, the front and back neckline, if the back is going to be different, this is how you will first cut whatever you want the back to be on the front. Then you will now remove what's inside and trim what you want for the front. I placed right side on facing right side and then I went ahead to pin. So it looks like. On the shoulder, I just thought to show you on the shoulder, I gave it half an inch seam allowance. Mark the half an inch. This is just for beginner who can't make a straight line yet. So just mark half an inch. I did the same on the other end as well. You're going to sew on that line. It's just a guide. I'm going to sew on it. Can you see? By the side, I give it 1 inch seam allowance, so I'm going to mark that 1 inch. In case you give yours 1.5, in case you give yours 2 inches, just mark whatever allowance you give yours right there. Mine is 1 inch. So I'm going to mark 1 inch all the way. I'm going to join it together and I'm going to do that on the other side as well. I'm just going to sew directly on top of that line. It's just a guide. So get a matching thread. In this case, white is preferable. Get a matching thread and sew. I've sewn it. This is what I have. The next thing is to insert the sleeve. This is the armhole region. I'm going to measure around, and what I have is 25. So first I folded this into four as well. I folded this fabric into four, and then if you look where you are going to see a tiny line, that's my starting point. Can you see that line? That's my starting point. Our actual sleeve length is 22 plus half-inch seam allowance. You know how we attach it at the shoulder. So I'm going to make it 22 and half. At the wrist is going to have elastic, so half-inch won't be enough because I'm going to fold it twice and it has to be slightly wide so that the pin I will be using to pass the elastic can pass through. So I'll add 1 inch to it. So that gives me 23.5. The sleeve is exaggerated, so I'm going to add another 2 inches to it so that it can just puff. And also that gives me 25.5, but I'm going to just round it up and make it 26. So this is it. I'm going to join it together. The next thing I will do is to determine a cap height. To get cap height, divide your bust by 12 and add 0.5 to it. So our bust is 48 divided by 12 plus 0.5 gives me 4.5. I'm just going to join it together. This is what I have. Remember that armhole that we measure around the other time that give us 25? Yeah, we need it now. So half of 25 is 12.5, but I will just remove 1 inch from it. That I'm going to mark 11.5 right there, and I'm going to slant it to this place. Tada! I have 12.5, the arm half of 25 inches. Can you see? So I'm going to mark the midpoint of that 12.5. This is the midpoint. I'm just going to get my ruler and make a slight curve. By the time you check the curve, it's even going to be more than that 25, such that it's going to now afford us um the seam allowance, about half an inch seam allowance. So I'm going to place this. Can you see? This is still because the front and back, the front and back armhole are different. It's going to reflect on the sleeve as well. I'm going to leave the link in the description box. I used 11 inches there, the same 11 inches I placed at the upper part. So I'm just going to join it together. Don't be scared. Our actual wrist is 8, but I'm going to make it 11 inches because I will gather it with elastic. The next thing I'm going to cut through. I'm going to leave the link in the description box. As I said, I have done exactly this sleeve before, just to save time. This is what it looks like, guys. The next thing is to turn the neck. You can use your bias strip, but the I don't have a matching color. What I have is yellow, and I think I'm blue. So I'm just going to cut the fabric to make it. So I will measure around the neck. I got 33. Measure around the neckline so you can know how long your strip should be. The width is 1 inch, so I will cut two strips. One won't be enough, so I'm just going to join it together. I've joined it together. The next thing is I will just open up where I joined it together. using a steam iron, I will give it a good press so it can. This is optional. Nobody will see it. This is optional. Why I pressed it. So I'm going to place that strip on the neckline. Um. Oh yeah. I will. I will need to fold the edge this way. Now let me also keep it in that whether you are using a bias strip, a ready-made bias strip that you buy from the market, or the one you cut using the piece of fabric you are sewing, you will still use this process. This is the same way you will do it. I'm folding the edge the same way I folded it when I started sewing. I'm just going to give it a notch all around. That place is round and I need it to rest. Can you see that little incision? It's called notching. We do it majorly when in curve regions. So I don't quite have the right choice of word to explain what I did here. I'm just going to enjoy you, enjoying you to look well. Just observe. I placed the two folded edge together and then I folded a little by say quarter of an inch and then I folded again the second time and I'm going to sew all through. This place is delicate. This is not to scare you. You just need to be careful. Sometimes you will fold it and then the fabric will unfold itself and your mind may not be there. So just be watchful. This happens when you are using fabric. If you use bias, I don't think you will experience this. This is what it looks like, guys. This is what it looks like. Try yours and let me see. If you have any question, drop it for me in the comment box. I will do well to reply. Thank you so much for watching, guys. See you in my next video.